Welcome to the Sales Career Leveling Podcast. Each show is dedicated to the sales professionals that are driven to advance their professional sales careers, whether that be growing in their sales, management, or leadership roles, or climbing any part of the sales org chart. Each week, we'll be discussing sales, sales management, and sales executive leadership topics, as well as the sales career advancement, best and worst practices we should all be aware of.
All right, Chris. So today we're talking about things that don't work in job search. You and I have been recruiting for longer than probably either of us would care to admit. But what I'd like to do today is maybe talk about some of the things that are working, some of the things that aren't working in job search that you know we can tell people are just doing the wrong things or not even aware of the right things that they need to be doing. So what I'd like to do is let's talk about our maybe our top 5 list of stuff that is not working in job search today, specifically sales job search, because 2 sales recruiters get together. That's all we're going to talk about is sales.
Talk about sales.
That's right. So let's go through one at a time. What is one of the things on your this just ain't working list?
So hitting the apply button.
Oh man.
Indeed, or LinkedIn or whatever. It's just once you do that, it just gets sent into a huge pile of resumes. The HR person or recruiter at the company is going to keyword match it. If your keywords aren't there, you're never going to get seen. So even if you're by far the best candidate for that position, if you send in or you hit the just apply button, you're doing yourself a major disservice.
Yeah. All right. So you stole my probably number 1 on the list, the one click, that easy apply button. It doesn't serve the employer because, like you mentioned, you're just in this massive stack of applicants that, frankly, you're not differentiating yourself. You're not going to stand out in a good way. And also that one click easy apply button, people just smash that thing for everything that comes up as their search results. And you can tell that in many cases when when people are using that one click apply. When I was in corporate recruiting, it was like, yep, didn't read the job ad, didn't read the job description. So it doesn't serve the employee or the prospective employee. It doesn't serve the employer because they're just inundated in this sea of applicants. And I think it only serves Indeed. Yeah. That way they can say, hey, we sent you, for each job, we sent you over 150 within just 7 days or whatever. And they just get to boast about all these, this slew of applicants that they send to companies. And you see that on Indeed and what are the other ones, like ZipRecruiter? Yeah. Terrible. They just they're just slinging resumes. Hey, it's easier to apply. All right. Yeah. So that doesn't help.
A lot of non-relevant people. And it's, you got to think about it. The people that are recruiting for the company are the HR busy people. They have things to do. Yep. So they're not going to manually go through 150 resumes.
Yep. All right. So let me go with one of mine, and it's just applying. So we had the one click apply and just apply for everything. And this one is just applying and doing nothing else and thinking that that's going to get it done, because you got tons of competition right now, especially with millions of people filing, let's say 1 million people applying for unemployment on a weekly basis over the past many, many weeks. You've got so much competition that you're up against. You really think that you doing the exact same thing as the other 100 people that applied on day one is going to help you to stand out in a good way? Mm-hmm. It just doesn't happen. So if you're applying only, you're just, again, in that sea of applicants, hoping that somehow you'll stand out in all of this white noise.
Right.
The Sales Career Leveling Podcast is sponsored by Zagworks. Far too many low performers have gotten great at selling themselves to HR and faux sales recruiters. Contact Michael G. Cox at Zagworks.com to eliminate the risk in sales recruiting once and for all.
All right, what's one of yours?
Reaching out to HR directly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why? What do you not like about that? I like the fact that they're at least reaching out.
Well, that's the true. I mean, at least they're going above and beyond.
Yeah.
But you really want to reach out to the decision maker. So who's the decision maker at this company? They're the ones that you're going to make their life easier if they hire you. So we're talking CROs, VPs, CEOs. You need to reach out to them directly. Now, I'm not saying reaching out to HR is not better than hitting the apply button, because that definitely is. But again, their job is to screen people. They're busy. They have things to do. But if you reach out to a decision maker in sales and you get their ear and you can show them how good you are, I can guarantee you they're going to take you over to HR and say, schedule an appointment with this person.
Yep. Okay. So I like that. Definitely. It could be even just reaching out to a hiring manager. Yeah. And basically anybody within that org chart, that chain of command that you might be reporting into, connecting with those individuals and trying to let them know, hey, I did apply, and now, I want to talk to you about the opportunity, and it shows that you're actually putting in some initiative on this thing. Definitely like that. Okay. One of mine right here is, let's see, asking for a job. Now, let's say, Chris, you're hiring and I am networked with you and we've been connected and we actually know each other. Mm-hmm. If I'm looking for a job and I see that your company is applying, the low skill move is to say, hey, Chris, I see that you're applying or that you're hiring. I'd like to apply. And what that does is it creates this awkward tension. And typically the answer that you're going to get is going to be something like, yeah, okay, I'll send your information over to HR, which isn't exactly the best way to go about doing this. Rather than doing that, I would recommend connecting with Chris and say, hey man, I joined the workforce again. I am actively looking for a new job because whatever that reason is. Right now, more so than anything else, that reason is because of coronavirus. Sure. And I'm now looking actively because everybody got furloughed or everybody got laid off along with me. Now, the better move, I think, is to say, I'd like to, could I just take 5 minutes of your time so we can talk about my experience and how I might better be able to package that for my consumer, other hiring managers. And then when we get on the phone, you say something to the effect of, ask a few basic questions that are highlighting your experience. And it's going to be kind of like, I've got 5 years experience selling in enterprise sales, and I've got like 8 years experience selling mid-market or mid-cap, those $2 to $10 billion companies. And should I focus my resume more on who I sold to or how I was, blowing out these numbers? And I mean, I averaged 120% of my quota every single year. Right. So I always hit budget. And then you get some solid feedback and you say, great, hey man, I appreciate that feedback. I'm gonna act on that. And if it's okay with you, I'm gonna send you my updated resume and you can check out my profile with those recommendations. Let me know what you think. And oh, by the way, do you know of any other organizations that may currently be hiring, or I might I should maybe go after? Do you have contacts at other organizations? And what you're doing is basically saying, I'm looking, I'm good, and I've got all this experience. You've taken the opportunity to tell them, and then ask if they know of other organizations. Now, what that's going to do to him is it's a low pressure way for him to think about, well, geez, Mike might be good here.
Yeah.
And so it's not so aggressive, and it's not forcing people to tell you no. It's making them think about yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's a great one. I mean, reaching out to them in a low pressure way is definitely going to get you in a lot easier than going straight at them and saying, hey, I'm looking for a job. I mean, think about it in a sales perspective. If you went straight at somebody and said, hey, Mike, this is what I do. Can we meet tomorrow at 2:00? I mean, yeah, that's, look, I don't know who you are. I've never, that, and it's going to just kind of put not a bad light on you, but I mean, you're just doing your job. But the reality is that, people don't like to be pressured.
Yeah.
People,
well,
people
think about all those messages that I know you get. I get them all the time, from people that say, hey, let's connect, because I'm wanting to connect with like-minded individuals. You came up as a recommendation. They give you that low-key, chill, kind of like they're setting up a very low level of commitment for us to connect. So I connect, and then 30 seconds later I get, this is what I do. You want some?
Yeah. Nope.
It's like, dude,
Yeah.
no. So you just, it's what we call the ask hole.
Yeah.
It's like you literally just connected to me today, and you're asking for a commitment from me today.
Yep.
Like, chill, pump your brakes.
Yeah, I mean, you got another way to kind of go about it too is, like you said, if it's a particular company, you can do some research on them, and hey, maybe they just got some funding, maybe this, or maybe the person you're reaching out to, maybe it was quoted an article, wrote an article, and you can say, hey, I read your article. You had some really great points about this. I'm looking to get into not necessarily a company like yours, but I've been laid off because of COVID. I was wondering if you could give me, like you said, 5 minutes of your time just to review my resume, talk to me, and give me any input that you can do. And like you said, a low key way at the end of it saying, do you know anybody? Because I mean, at that point, they go, hey, this guy sounds awesome. What am I? I got an open position? Why am I not talking to him or her?
Exactly. And it's doing it in a way that's forcing them to think about you as a viable candidate, because you laid it all out. These are this is the experience that I have and I bring, and actually meets all the requirements of your job, because I read that job description. So it's a much better approach. So anyhow, all right, Chris, what's your next one? What do you got?
Not taking the time to optimize your LinkedIn profile.
Oh man, took another one of mine.
Another one of yours.
What do you got?
LinkedIn profiles are critical nowadays. I mean, they're like your online resume. You don't want to put your resume on there like you have it, word for word. But what you want to do is obviously think about the keywords that someone might search for when they're looking for you. Make sure you have things like your city, where you're located. I saw a stat recently that 26% of 20. All right, let's scratch that. You may have to edit that out, because I can't remember what the hell it was. But you want to make sure you have an image, professional image. Do a background as well.
Yep.
I see a lot of people who just have the LinkedIn blue sky. I don't even know what that is, but
that banner, the LinkedIn banner update.
Yeah, the LinkedIn banner, which makes no sense to me what it is. But go to canva.com, and I know Michael, he does this quite a bit too. And just create a free one if you want to. Just stand out. Or, when I was first getting started on LinkedIn, someone told me just, have a different background. I just went out and got a skyline picture of Atlanta. And so it's simple things like that. When you're in your LinkedIn profile, make sure you're putting the value proposition in there. So why would I want to reach out to you? If I'm a recruiter, I want to see that you've hit quota, like you said, for the last 10 years or whatever it is. You can say a little bit about the companies you've worked for, but your LinkedIn profile is for you. It's not for the company, especially if you're unemployed or looking for work. So I would say take the time and optimize that, or there are people out there that'll do it for you. It's really up to you. But I think it's critical nowadays to have that done.
Yeah. Didn't you write an article or like a LinkedIn post on how to do that?
I did I think it was 4-part series.
Oh my gosh.
On LinkedIn of how to do that. Anybody on the call that
Overkill.
Well, you don't get 1,300 characters in each post, so that's the
Okay.
problem. But anybody who's on this, that wants, a document that I can send over to them, feel free to do that.
Cool. All right. You took that one. So my last one that I've got is using a lame resume. And part of that is the only time anybody ever thinks about updating a resume is when, I need to go find a job. And then you're scrambling left and right to try and find the stuff. And that's another issue, the stuff that needs to go on a resume. And, what happens at that point is, you don't know what you accomplished last quarter, last year, and with specific numbers. And we're talking about primarily sales resumes. So my recommendation with that, and we're starting to get into what is working, but my recommendation with that is update your resume every 3 months. Just put it on your calendar, update your resume with what you accomplished in the last quarter. Doing that, then you don't have to go back and try and think, I know I hit quota. I went to President's Club, Winner's Circle. It was awesome. But, but I don't know by how much. Yeah. I don't remember those large accounts that I could mention, or what the dollar amount was that I grew my territory. Did I hit my new business quota? How many new dollars did I bring in 2013, kind of thing. So update your resume on every quarter with the stuff that you've accomplished. You're going to have this massive document, and that's fine. When it's time to actually apply for a job, what you're going to do is just take from that living document and build your resume very easily with easy cut and paste. Yep. And the process that I recommend when using this it's called an ART, A-R-T, and it's action verb. This is how you build your resume that is focused on accomplishments. Your accomplishment is an ART. It starts with an action verb, then you have your results that are quantified, and then you have a time frame. So an example would be something like, in fiscal year 2019, I grew my territory by, then you got to quantify, it's going to be by, let's say, 33% year over year. So you have your time frame, and you can say it like, grew my territory by 33% year over year, FY19, and you're done. And that's a very large accomplishment, but you can get much smaller. It can be activity based, averaged or cold called 73 companies per day, every day, weekly in 2019, whatever that may be. So that's mine is. And because we see sales resumes so often, the biggest problem that I have is they're actually not telling us what they accomplished. They're focusing on duties and responsibilities rather than accomplishments. So
yeah, that's a good one. I don't have that one on my list, but I mean, like you said, it's when do you need a resume? When you need a job, you're looking for a job.
Exactly.
You're scrambling. You're trying to put everything together, and especially in a sales perspective, a lot of it's numbers and activity based. So like you said, you may forget what you did 3 years ago. You could have been in a company 5 years and they say, hey, what did you do in 2017? But if you have it in that living document, like you said, you can just go in, start to create your resume and just pull out the most important bullet points or the, the parts from that. So that's a great idea.
Now check this out. Using your resume, we all think it's just for finding a job. But we all, when we were in sales, it was always about what have you done for me lately? Yep. And the best way to do that when you walk into your boss's office and he says, so tell me about your year, or, we're looks like we're making some cuts. You are suddenly armed with all the stuff that you've done last quarter and the last 3 quarters of the last 3 years. And you can walk into there armed with this information that says, this is what I've done for you lately. And it's a pattern. I've done it many times. I'm going to keep doing this, but at least you're walking in with some actual information that is quantified and measurable, rather than everybody else who doesn't update their resume, but maybe once every 2 or 4 years, or just when they're looking for a job. You're now armed with the stuff that you can share when you're doing that yearly review or that quarterly review, and you're going to stand out, and you're going to be able to defend yourself when you say, cut me off some of that change.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a great idea. Yeah, I love that. And also too, you can add that to your LinkedIn profile as you go along. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that LinkedIn profile, like you mentioned, and the resume, those are the 2 documents that go before you. They represent you when you're out looking for a job. And if those things aren't on point, are you really going to stand out in the way that you should? And are they really going to represent you well?
Sure.
So we're not telling people to do this for us, although it would make my life easier if the candidates that I'm representing had that stuff ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you took my last one, which was LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
You got any more?
Not really. I think that, I have one that, like, not reaching out through a direct message, only using the apply button and maybe their email, but LinkedIn's a powerful tool. So you need to take advantage of that. I tell people, who are looking for a job, I'm like, go to Sales Navigator.
Yeah.
And you get 30 days free. Try it out. You can get a lot of information out of that. If you don't like it, you don't have to pay for it, but you might as well take advantage of it. But that was really it, just, trying to stay in front of someone through LinkedIn. Obviously, you can tell I'm a big proponent of LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. All right. So do you have any examples of what is working right now?
Yes. And it kind of builds back into the Sales Navigator I was talking about. You're in sales. Treat your job search as a sales job. So what do you do in a sales job? You get a territory, you get a list of companies, you start calling them, you start emailing them, end goal, trying to, get an appointment with them. So you're trying to get obviously an interview, but again, go to the higher ups first initially, and try to get in front of them. Just whoever the decision maker is, start top and work top down if you need to, but treat it like a sales job. So know how many connections you made that day, or requests you made that day, how many people you reached out to, how many emails you sent, how many responses. That's all going to come into play, because again, it's going to be your metrics, which is what you would get judged on, at any new position. So treat it like a sales job. I tell everybody this. I'm like, you already know what to do. I mean, you've sold stuff before, so just sell yourself.
All right. So you had kind of mentioned this earlier, but one of my tips or things that is working right now in job search is networking within your industry and within your market. So if you are in the BPO industry, obviously all of your competitors, or you damn well better. And you want to stay in that industry, then you need to connect. Get this, you need to connect with all the VPs of sales.
Yep.
A bunch of their directors and sales managers, and build those relationships through LinkedIn. Everybody in sales is on LinkedIn pretty much. Yeah. Build that network, because you're going to need that, and it's going to make the job search a whole lot easier when you're ready to make a move from one company to another that is in the same space. And oh, by the way, you're already connected to a bunch of the people at that organization, and you've already exchanged messages just to make sure that they know who you are.
Right.
So that's a big one. Got any others?
I think networking is huge. So yeah, I completely agree. Another tip I've seen a lot of people have success with: personal videos.
How so?
So as opposed to just picking up the phone and calling somebody, leaving a message, or sending them an email, you create a personal video. You can even do a landing page with this. If people, just a
lot.
I've seen a landing page. It's just a one pager, and you can highlight your accomplishments. But if you get on video, the person can see you. They can see your mannerisms. They can see, and you can tout yourself of what you've been able to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just different. It's just standing out, and it's not the norm. So if you show that you'll go the extra mile to get in front of someone, then that's going to show that you're aggressive, or not necessarily aggressive, but you'll figure out ways to get in front of a customer, as opposed to just going after the same normal routine.
Yeah, I like that. I've actually seen that. I saw one yesterday. Gentleman sent me, I believe he's in San Diego. He sent me a LinkedIn message. He attached his resume, and also not only on his resume, but in the message itself, he included a very short link, which took me to his website, which was his first name and last name.com. And the first thing that shows up is a big window that shows him in the video, and you just click play and you hear him introduce himself and give you a quick overview of his experience, his accomplishments, and he provides some numbers about how successful he has been in sales, and then provides his contact information. Mm-hmm. So it's a great way for prospective employers to just get maybe a more holistic view of an individual.
Yeah. So, and that stood out to you. So, like I said, you think about it, if I came to you with two separate people, they basically had the same accomplishments. One of you sends a resume and one of you sends a link to a video with their accomplishments.
And their resume.
Yeah, and their resume. Yeah, and their resume, sorry. Who are you going to be more likely to reach out to if you can only reach out to one? So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the guy that video really helps to accelerate that relationship a whole lot more than just email.
Yep,
definitely. All right, so art on your resume and LinkedIn profile, that action verb, the results quantified plus time frame equals accomplishment.
Yep.
Follow that formula. It's super easy. Do that on your LinkedIn profile and your resume, and you'll be heads and shoulders above everybody else. Definitely. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got another one?
Not really. I think those are the main things. I think we've kind of hit everything of what's not working, and part of what we talked about during what's not working, you can, extrapolate what is working.
Yeah.
I just say, my, kind of closing remarks is, don't just hit the apply button. Everybody's doing that. It's easy, it's quick, it's fast. I get it, but you've got to do something to stand out. You have to, in this market, just have to do something to stand out, and hitting apply just is not going to do it. So that'd be the main thing I tell anybody is just stand out.
Yeah. The thing about the apply button and that easy apply, one click apply thing, and then just applying, it gives the applicant a false sense of accomplishment. Mm-hmm. It makes you feel like you've actually done something. And that the danger in that is, again, it's only serving that job board, Indeed, or Monster if they're still around, or Career Builder, whoever they are. it's not serving you as the applicant.
No.
And the volume that it creates for employers, HR and recruiting and hiring managers, it's not helping them.
Nope.
So don't think that you're actually getting something good done by relying on that button.
Yeah. And then, one thing I want to say is I talked about not reaching out to HR directly. I don't want to bag on HR. They have a job to do.
Yeah.
They're just doing their job. They're busy people. They just, again, they're just going directly to the decision maker is always going to be preferable to going to HR.
Yeah, definitely. Building that relationship and then having an HR. I remember when I would have a sales manager or a sales director or a VP of sales turn to me and say, hey, been talking to this guy for the past several months or weeks or days, or I just heard from this person.
Mm-hmm.
Check him out. He mentioned that he had applied, or maybe he hasn't applied and they just send me that resume. I want you to speak to this candidate. Suddenly, guess who's at the front of the line?
Line, yeah.
So that carries a lot of weight, definitely.
Absolutely.
Cool, man. Well, the last bit of advice that I have is going to be probably the next podcast that we're going to have, and that is speak their language. When you're speaking to a VP of sales, talk about gross profit margins. When you're speaking to a sales manager, talk about revenue. Mm-hmm. Everybody basically wants to hear about your accomplishments. But everybody wants to hear about your accomplishments in their terms and what matters to them. And the clue here is, so you can figure out what matters to them, start thinking about how they are compensated. So if they're compensated on revenue, that's probably what matters to them. If they're compensated on the bottom line number versus top line number, talk about that and how you affected those things. But we'll dive into that next time a little bit more, and look forward to chatting with you guys again. Chris, muchos nachos, muchachos.
Adios.
All right, man. Take care.
I'm not sure what that means.
Thank you for joining us on the Sales Career Leveling Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and if you would be so kind, share this podcast with a fellow sales professional. If you are a sales professional and would like to connect, have a guest, and/or topic suggestion, please find Chris Stinson and Michael G. Cox on LinkedIn or email careerleveling